The knife slipped from my hand, clattering against the granite countertop like a gunshot in the dead of night. There he was, not some shadowy intruder melting into the alley, but a guy my age, maybe 28, frozen mid-reach for the loaf of bread on the counter, his blue eyes wide with terror, a single tear carving a path down his stubbled cheek. "Please," he whispered, voice cracking like old vinyl, "don't call the cops. I just needed something to eat." I should have screamed. Should have lunged for the phone, dialed 911, and watched them haul him away in cuffs under the sodium glow of Brooklyn streetlights. But those eyes, haunted, like they'd stared down ghosts I'd never met, pinned me in place. My heart hammered, not from fear, but from the raw ache in his plea, echoing the hollow mornings I'd spent nursing my own invisible wounds after Dad's funeral 2 years back. "Who the hell are you?" I managed, my voice steadier than I felt, stepping closer despite every survival instinct screaming retreat. He didn't bolt, didn't even flinch, just lowered his hand slowly, empty, as if surrendering more than just the bread. "Caleb," he said, the name hanging in the humid air like smoke from a forgotten cigarette. "And you're Zachary, right? Saw your name on the mailbox downstairs." That detail twisted something in my gut. He'd cased the place, knew me before I knew him. Yet here we were, two strangers in my cramped kitchen, the fridge humming like a judgmental witness. And in that suspended breath, I saw not a thief, but a man unraveling at the seams. File 1. The rain started as we stood there, a soft patter against the fire escape outside my third-floor walk-up in Williamsburg, Brooklyn. It was one of those late summer storms that rolled in off the East River, thick with the scent of wet asphalt and distant thunder. Caleb's soaked hoodie clung to his frame, outlining the lean muscles of someone who'd run too many miles from whatever chased him. I flicked on the overhead light, harsh fluorescence casting long shadows that made his face look even more angular, more desperate. "Zachary Hale," I said, extending a hand he didn't take, my own fingers still tingling from the knife's handle. "And yeah, this is my place. You picked the wrong night to play cat burglar. I'm off the clock from the ER, so I've got stories that'd make you lose your appetite." It was a bluff. Mostly, I was a nurse at Bellevue, pulling 12-hour shifts, stitching up the fallout of the city's endless chaos. But the edge in my voice was real. I'd seen enough broken bodies to know when someone was one wrong move from shattering. He swallowed hard, glancing at the door like it might sprout legs and chase him out. "I didn't mean to. I swear, man. Lost my job last week. Landlord's evicting me tomorrow. The shelter line's a joke. Fights every night. And His voice trailed off, eyes dropping to the floor where a puddle from his boots was spreading. That tear track glistened under the light now, and I hated how it tugged at me, how it mirrored the nights I'd curled up on this very floor after Mom called from Ohio, her voice brittle with updates on Dad's empty recliner. "Look," I said, grabbing the bread anyway and tearing off a chunk, thrusting it toward him. "Eat, then talk. But if you rabbit, I'll hunt you down myself." It was half joke, half promise, the kind of Brooklyn bravado that masked the soft underbelly I'd buried deep since coming out at 18, back when Dad's Bible-thumping silences had felt like judgment instead of love. Caleb took the bread, hesitating like it was laced with something worse than regret. He sank onto the stool at my breakfast bar, a rickety IKEA thing scarred from too many solo dinners, and bit into it, crumbs scattering like confetti for a party no one showed up to. "Thanks," he mumbled around the mouthful, then wiped his mouth with the back of his hand. I'm not usually this. Used to sling lattes at that hipster spot on Bedford, the one with the avocado toast obsession. But the owner, total prick. Caught me kissing my boyfriend in the alley during break. Fired me on the spot. Said it ruined the vibe for the brunch crowd. The word boyfriend landed like a skipped stone across still water, rippling through me. Gay. Just like that, the air shifted, charged with the unspoken kinship of two guys who'd navigated the same minefields, the sidelong glances in dive bars, the family dinners where faggot hung unsaid but heavy. I leaned against the counter, crossing my arms to steady the sudden warmth in my chest. Asshole move. I'm Zach. By the way, nurse, as I said. Seen worse bigotry in the ER. Last month, a kid got jumped for holding his guy's hand in the village. Stitches from here to Sunday. Caleb's laugh was bitter, a short bark that didn't reach his eyes. Village? Try Bushwick. We're the knockoff version, cheaper rent. Same hate. He paused, studying me like I was a puzzle he hadn't expected to solve. You live alone? Place feels lived in, but not cluttered. Like you're holding space for ghosts. I flinched, the accuracy stinging. Dad's old watch sat on the shelf by the sink, ticking away seconds he couldn't reclaim. Yeah. Alone. You. It was a probe, casual but loaded, the first thread in whatever fragile web we were spinning. Was, he said, voice dropping to a whisper as thunder rumbled closer. Boyfriend ex now, kicked me out after the firing. Said I was too much drama, like loving me wasn't worth the hassle. His fingers traced the countertop's edge, nails bitten to the quick, and I wondered how many nights he'd spent like this, invisible in a city that chewed up dreamers and spat out husks. The rain picked up, drumming a rhythm that drowned out the distant sirens, Brooklyn's lullaby. I poured us both coffee from the pot I'd left brewing, black and scalding, the way Dad used to make it on fishing trips upstate. Stay, I heard myself say, the word slipping out before reason could yank it back. Crash on the couch till the storm passes. No strings, just humanity. You know? He looked up, those blue eyes searching mine, and for a heartbeat, the kitchen shrank to just us. The steam curling between mugs, the faint hum of the city beyond, the electric pull of two souls recognizing their own fractures in the other. Why? He asked, not suspicious, but genuinely lost, like kindness was a foreign language. Because, I replied, sliding the mug his way, I've been the guy breaking in too. Just not through windows. And as he took the coffee, our fingers brushed, brief, accidental, but enough to spark something reckless, something that felt like the start of a storm all its own. That night, he didn't sleep on the couch. We talked till the rain eased to a drizzle, words tumbling out like we'd been saving them for years. Caleb grew up in a trailer park outside Philly. Dad a mechanic with fists quicker than his apologies. Mom gone early to cancer. He'd fled to New York at 20, chasing the myth of reinvention, landing gigs as a barista and occasional model for those gritty indie shoots in Dumbo. Got scouted once, he said, smirking over the rim of his mug. Did a spread for some zine about queer resilience. Irony. Huh? Now I'm resiliently broke. I shared my own scars. The straight-A kid from Cleveland suburbs, valedictorian with a scholarship to NYU nursing program, only to come out sophomore year and watch half my friends ghost. Dad had tried God. He'd tried flying out for awkward pride parades, his flannel shirt clashing with the glitter, but the cancer took him before we could bridge the gap fully. "He left me this watch," I said, tapping it on my wrist. "Said it was for timing my comebacks. Cheesy, but it's all I've got." By 3 a.m., the coffee had gone cold, and exhaustion etched lines under his eyes. "Couch is yours," I insisted, but he shook his head, that smirk softening into something vulnerable. "Nah. Bed's big enough for two guys who aren't sleeping anyway." It wasn't a proposition. Not really, just two weary souls seeking anchor in the dark. We stripped to boxers, the air thick with unspoken tension, and slid under the sheets of my queen-sized haven, the mattress dipping under our weight. His back to me at first, then, as breaths evened, he turned, our faces inches apart in the glow of streetlights sneaking through blinds. "You're safe here, Caleb," I murmured, the words a vow I hadn't planned. His hand found mine under the covers, calluses rough against my palm, and in that touch, the city's roar faded. Sleep came fitful, dreams tangled with rain and blue eyes, and when dawn crept in, gray and unforgiving, he was still there, warm, real, a thief who'd stolen nothing but given me back a piece of my guarded heart. Days blurred into a rhythm neither of us questioned. Caleb crashed at my place, paying rent with grocery runs and stories that made my shifts bearable. I'd come home bone-tired from the ER, bandaging knife wounds from gang scraps, holding hands with overdose kids whose eyes screamed for the parents who'd failed them, and he'd be there, chopping onions for chili, his laugh cutting through the ache like sunlight on fog. "You're a miracle worker," he'd say, kissing my temple as I slumped at the table, and I'd pull him close, inhaling the soap and sweat scent of him, wondering how a break-in had birthed this fragile bliss. We explored Brooklyn like tourists in our own lives. Lazy afternoons in Prospect Park, feeding ducks stale bread while he sketched passers-by on napkins, his talent wasted on unpaid bills. Evenings in dive bars off Myrtle, nursing IPAs and swaying to indie folk sets, his hand on my thigh under the table, a quiet claim that set my pulse racing. Sex came easy, inevitable the first time on the living room rug, urgent and clumsy, his mouth hot on my neck as thunder rolled again. Later, slower in the shower, water sluicing over us as I traced the tattoos snaking up his ribs. A phoenix half-finished, symbol of rebirth he swore he'd complete when life stops kicking my ass, but shadows lingered. His phone buzzed with eviction notices, job rejections, barista spots that ghosted after references checked his attitude. Mine rang too, mom's updates on the empty house, colleagues at work side-eyeing my distraction, the late shifts that left me hollow. We'd fight over small things, him leaving dishes piled, me snapping about his late-night wanderings, and make up fiercer, bodies colliding in apology, whispers of "I need you" sealing the cracks. One crisp October evening, as leaves turned the streets to fire, he came home with a grin that lit the dim hallway. "Got a gig," he announced, waving a crumpled flyer. "Bartending at that warehouse party in Bushwick. Pays cash. Tips from the artsy crowd." I hooped, scooping him up till his legs wrapped my waist, spinning us till laughter echoed off peeling wallpaper. To us, I toasted later, clinking beer bottles on the fire escape, the skyline twinkling like it approved. His head on my shoulder, fingers laced, he murmured, "Never thought I'd find home in a kitchen break-in." That night, as we lay tangled, his breathing steady against my chest, I felt it, the terrifying swell of love, deep and uncharted. But love in New York was a gamble, and I didn't know yet how high the stakes would climb. November hit like a freight train, winds whipping off the harbor, turning breaths to frost. Caleb's warehouse gigs stretched into weekends, pulling him into the throbbing underbelly of Brooklyn's nightlife, strobe lights, bass that rattled ribs, crowds of glitter-dusted queers chasing oblivion. He'd stumble home at dawn, reeking of spilled gin and cheap cologne, collapsing beside me with apologies slurred into my hair. "Missed you," he'd groan, and I'd forgive, tracing the new shadows under his eyes, blaming the job's grind. But the lies started small, innocuous as crumbs on the counter. "Late close tonight," he'd text, when I'd hear the door at 2, his steps too light, too careful. I'd stir, feigning sleep, heart twisting as he slipped into the shower alone. Once, I found a receipt in his pocket, dinner for 2 at that Italian spot in Carroll Gardens. Date stamped the night he'd sworn inventory ran long. "Old tip," he said when I asked, eyes flicking away, and I swallowed the doubt, chalking it up to paranoia born of too many ER shifts where trust was the first casualty. We had good days still, Thanksgiving, pieced together from canned cranberries and a turkey I'd brined at work. Mom FaceTimed from Ohio, her smile strained over the empty chairs, and Caleb charmed her with tales of Philly Thanksgivings gone wrong. Dad once deep-fried the bird on the porch, nearly torched the trailer. She laughed, thawing, and later, as we cleared plates, she pulled me aside on the call. "He looks at you like you're his North Star, Zach." "Hold on." I did, tighter that night, his body molding to mine as snow dusted the window, whispering promises into his skin. The conflict brewed under the holiday cheer, bubbling up on a sleety December morning. I woke to empty sheets, coffee brewing solo, a note scrawled on the fridge, "Early shift, love you. See." But his bartending schedule was taped beside it, blank till noon. Dread coiled in my gut as I dressed, pulling on scrubs for another 12-hour haul. The ER was a madhouse, flu season slamming us with fevered kids and wheezing elders, a drive-by victim bleeding out on Gurney 3. But my mind wandered to him, to the way his laugh had sharpened lately, edged with secrets. That afternoon, during a rare lull, I scrolled his Insta on my phone. Stalkerish, yeah, but worry gnawed deeper than guilt. There he was, tagged in a story from some gallery opening. Caleb, arms slung around a guy with sharp cheekbones and a leather jacket, both grinning amid wine glasses and abstract nudes on walls. The caption, "Reunited with my muse at Caleb Inc. Let's make magic again. Muse." The word slithered cold, and I pocketed the phone, hands shaking as I sutured a junkie's track marks, each stitch a mirror to my fraying trust. Home that night, the apartment felt foreign, air thick with the ghost of his cologne. He burst in at 10, cheeks flushed from cold, bearing takeout from our Thai spot Pad CEW, extra lime, his go-to peace offering. "Rough day?" he asked, pecking my cheek, but I pulled back, the photo burning behind my eyes. "Who's Elias?" The name dropped like lead, and his face blanked for a split second, long enough to confirm. "Old friend from Philly. Artist type, does tattoos, photos. Ran into him at the party last week." He unpacked the bags, movements too casual, steam rising like smoke screens. I leaned against the doorframe, arms crossed. "Ran into him enough to pose for his muse shots?" Saw the post. "Caleb. The one where you're all cozy, like I'm the side gig." His shoulders slumped, fork pausing midair. Zach, it's nothing. We collab back in the day harmless. He's straight, for fuck's sake. Just networking. Job hunt's brutal. Thought it might lead to ink work. The excuse hung flimsy, and anger flared, hot and righteous. Networking? While lying to my face about shifts. I've given you everything, roof, bed, my goddamn heart. And you repay it by sneaking around like some side hustle? He stood, chair scraping, blue eyes flashing. Sneaking? I'm busting my ass so I don't drag you down. You think I like scraping tips from drunk hipsters? Elias gets me. Saw potential when I was still that scared kid in Philly. You make me want to stay, but staying means facing how fucked I am. Words flew then. Barbs honed on old wounds. My savior complex. His commitment phobia. He accused me of clipping his wings. I hurled his past flings like grenades. Overheard whispers from bar buddies about Caleb's wild phase. The fight crested in the kitchen. Voices echoing off tiles. Till he grabbed his jacket, storming out into the flurrying snow. Maybe I should have stayed a thief. Easier than stealing your trust and breaking it. The door slammed, and silence crashed in, heavier than the winter chill seeping through cracks. I sank to the floor, back to the cabinets where we'd first locked eyes, tears hot on my face. Hours ticked by, the watch on my wrist mocking, no comeback this time. By midnight, worry eclipsed rage. I texted, called, paced the fire escape scanning empty streets. Nothing. The city swallowed him, indifferent as always. Dawn broke gray, and I dragged to work, zombie through rounds, intubating a hypothermic homeless guy pulled from a grate. His mumbled thanks an echo of Caleb's plea that first night. Texts piled unanswered, each a knife twist. Elias's profile mocked me. More posts. Caleb's face in frames, laughing with a freedom that stung. Betrayal bloomed full, roots twisting deep. Not just the lie, but the fear it unearthed, that I was too broken, too ordinary for someone like him. A phoenix mid-flight. 3 days blurred into a haze of double shifts and takeout eaten cold. Mom called, sensing the fracture. Hearts heal slower than bodies. Kiddo. But you deserve someone who runs toward, not away. Her words anchored me, but the apartment echoed his absence. His sketchpad abandoned on the couch. A half-finished phoenix staring accusingly. Then, on the fourth night, as sleet lashed the windows, the door creaked open. Not slammed, but tentative, like a confession. Caleb stood there, snow-dusted, eyes red-rimmed, a duffel at his feet. Can I explain? He whispered, voice raw as the wind. I should have shut it, locked the bolt on us both. But love's a stubborn thief, and mine had pickpocket reason long ago. Talk, I said, stepping aside, the kitchen light haloing him like forgiveness waiting to bloom. He dropped the bag, words spilling in a torrent. Elias wasn't a lover, but a ghost, a hookup from years back who'd morphed into friend, offering couch space when the fight blew up. I crashed there. Yeah, 2 nights, platonic as hell. But I lied because shame, Zach. Shame that I need saving again, that I'm the guy who breaks in and can't fix the lock behind him. Tears tracked now, mirroring that first night, and he clutched a small box from his pocket. Dad's watch? No, a velvet one, holding a simple silver band etched with timing our comebacks. I got this yesterday, he choked. From a pawn shop in the village, saw it and thought of you, of us. But then the fight. I ran because loving you scares me shitless. You're steady, real, everything I never had. What if I ruin it? The ring glinted, humble against the storm outside, and my walls crumbled. I pulled him in, arms wrapping fierce, his sobs muffled in my shirt. You already did, I murmured, half laugh, half sob. But we rebuild. Together, kisses followed, salt-tinged and urgent, bodies rediscovering paths in the hallway, shedding layers till skin met skin on the bed we'd shared. Dawn found us entwined, the ring loose on his finger for now, a promise, not a chain. But peace was fleeting. New York had one more curveball, and it was aimed straight at our fragile rebuild. Winter deepened, January's bite turning the East River to a steel mirror. Caleb and I settled into a tentative harmony, the ring a talisman on his thumb, too big for promise, too small for doubt. He landed steady ink work at a Red Hook parlor, tattooing sailors' regrets and hipsters' manifestos, coming home smelling of ink and antiseptic, my ER sense a mirror. Evenings blurred into domestic poetry, me charting vitals on the couch while he sketched designs, our feet tangled, laughter punctuating the hum of the city below. But Elias lingered like frost on glass, subtle at first, a tagged photo here, a catch-up soon, DM there. Caleb dismissed them, blocking the account after one too many wines-fueled nights where jealousy gnawed my tongue. Water under the bridge, he'd say, nuzzling my neck, and I'd believe, because his touch erased shadows. His I love yous whispered in the dark, a balm on old scars. The high tide of our romance crested Valentines, a midweek escape to Coney Island, boardwalk barren under sodium lamps, Ferris wheel creaking like a giant's sigh. We bundled against the gale, sharing cotton candy that stuck to gloves, his arm around my waist as waves crashed indifferent. Remember our first storm? He asked, breath fogging between us. I nodded, pulling him behind the ghost of a shuttered arcade for a kiss that tasted of sugar and salt, hands roaming under wool till the world narrowed to us. Back home, candles flickered on the breakfast bar, take-out lobster rolls from that hole in the wall in Sheepshead Bay. He slid the ring onto my finger proper then, sized right. He'd snuck my spare for measuring and vowed, no more running. You're my anchor, Zach. We made love slow, reverent, the watch ticking approval on the nightstand, bodies mapping futures in sighs and shudders. Spring teased early, March crocuses pushing through concrete cracks, mirroring the green shoots in us. Caleb's phoenix tattoo finished under his own needle, a favor from a coworker, wings spanning ribs in fiery detail. For rebirth, he said, flexing in the mirror, and I traced it with lips, tasting ink and skin, our reflections overlapping like fate's endorsement. Yet the undercurrent pulled stronger, whispers from his past swelling to waves. One rainy Tuesday, I came home early, shift cut by a mass cancellation, to find him on the phone in the kitchen, voice low, urgent. Elias, Zach doesn't know about. Yeah, the money. Just drop it, man. He hung as the door clicked, face paling like I'd caught him mid-theft. Who's the money? I asked, keys jangling accusatory, heart plummeting to the floorboards. He rubbed his neck. Classic tell. Old debt. From Philly days, Elias fronted me rent when I first split. Harmless loan. Paid back last year. He's just persistent. Debt. The word echoed Dad's medical bills, the ones that had left Mom scraping, me sending checks from every paycheck. How much? My voice was steel, the nurse in me diagnosing evasion. 5 grand. Ancient history. But his eyes darted, and I knew like I knew a patient's lie about pain meds, that it was more. The fight ignited slow, embers to blaze, accusations of secrets breeding secrets, his defensiveness a wall I battered against. You think I'm hiding to hurt you? The shame. Zach. Shame that I started this with nothing, dragged you into my mess. He paced, hands fisting hair, the phoenix seeming to writhe. And lying fixes that? I'm not your charity case. Caleb, I'm your partner. Or was that bullshit too? The ring felt heavy, mocking, and I yanked it off, sliding it across the counter like a gauntlet. He snatched it, eyes blazing. Bullshit? This is me trying. Elias called because he wants back in, says he can hook me with gallery shows, but it'd mean posing again. Intimate stuff. I said no for us. Gallery. Intimate. The pieces slotted, not just debt, but temptation, a siren call to the freewheeling life pre-me. Pre-commitment. Betrayal twisted deeper. Not infidelity but the fracture line of who we were. Me. The stabilizer. Him. The wild card forever shuffling decks. Get out, I said, voice breaking the dam. Till you figure if us means truth or just a pit stop. He froze, plea in his gaze. But I turned away. The doors slam a thunderclap in my chest. Days stretched to a week. Him crashing at the parlor owner's couch. Texts a lifeline of I love you and give me time. Work swallowed me. Are overrun with allergy flares and bar fights. Each suture a stitch in my soul. Mom sensed. Her call's a lifeline. Love's not a straight line. Honey, it's the detours that build the road. Then the call came. April Fool's cruel joke. Elias. Number blocked but voice slipping through voicemail. Zach, it's about Caleb. He's in trouble, owe me more than he said. Meet me. Coffee shop on Atlantic. Help him, or he drowns. Click. Rage propelled me there. The shop steam a veil for my fury. Elias waited, all sharp edges and designer stubble, smirking over a flat white. Lover boy, he drawled, accent Philly thick. Caleb's got a mouth, spills when he's drunk. Owes me 8, not 5. From gigs. Bad bets. I fronted. He ghosted. Liar. I snapped. But doubt wormed in. Why tell me? Because pretty boy's soft on you, thinks you're his savior. Pay up, or I expose the pretty pictures we took. Intimate ones. Your call. Extortion. The word tasted vile, and I stood, chair scraping. Fuck you. He'll pay his own way, but outside, rain slicking streets, panic clawed, Caleb, cornered, choosing silence to shield me, or deeper deceit. I texted him, Elias cornered me. Truth. Now. No reply. Hours later, my door rattled, him, soaked, eyes wild. He called you? Shit, Zach. It's worse. The debt's real, but the photos, they're leverage. From when we were stupid kids. Nothing since. I didn't tell because I fixed it. Pawned my mom's necklace last month. Cleared half. Just needed time for the rest. Pawned. Mom's necklace, the one he'd shown me in a shoebox. Silver locket with her faded photo. His talisman against ghosts. Sacrifice for us. Buried in shame. Why hide? I whispered, pulling him in despite the storm. Fear. he admitted, dripping on the mat. Fear you'd see the screw-up, not the man trying. We collapsed on the couch, his head in my lap, confessions unraveling. The full Philly fallout, Dad's rages funding bad habits, Elias as enabler turned collector. You're my clean slate, Zach. Don't erase me. I stroked his hair, ring back on his finger, heavier with honesty. We face it together, no more solos. Kisses sealed it, tentative then fierce. But the tide turned darker. Elias's threat loomed, a shark circling our shallow waters. May bloomed violent, dogwoods bleeding pink against gray skies. Caleb threw himself into work, inking double shifts. But Elias's shadows lengthened. Anonymous texts to me, pay or play. I ignored, focusing on us, weekend hikes in the Palisades, hands clasped over Hudson views, his sketches filling our walls with color. The high point crashed mid-month. A gallery invite from Elias slipped under our door. Caleb's muse, retrospective. Caleb burned it, but curiosity gnawed. Go, I urged. Own your past. Show him it doesn't own you. Brave words. But inside, terror churned. The night arrived. Warehouse in Gowanus throbbing with the elite. Curators in black. Champagne flutes clinking. Caleb went alone. Per my insistence. Returning shattered. He twisted it. Photos cropped. Me exposed. You implied in captions as the anchor that sank the ship. Humiliation. Public. Slicing deep. I held him as sobs racked. Rage boiling. We'll sue, harass. Defamation. But he shook his head. Broken. It's me, Zach, the mess I bring. Maybe. Space. No. Not space fight. But dawn brought the call that shattered all. Hospital. Bellevue, my ER. Caleb Inkwell. Bar fight, knife wound. Stable but. Ask for you. The world tilted. Sirens in my ears as I raced down halls I knew blind. There he lay. Phoenix bandaged. Eyes fluttering open to mine. Sorry, he croaked. Hand-seeking. Elias's guise warned me off the show. Betrayal's blade twisted full. Not just debt, but danger. My lover marked for a debt I'd never known. As monitors beeped, love warred with fury. Hold on, or let go before the storm drowned us both. The ER lights buzzed merciless, casting Caleb's face in sterile pallor. The phoenix peeking from gauze like a wounded survivor. I hovered, chart in hand, protocol be damned, barking orders at interns who jumped like I'd lit fuses. Morphine drip. Stat. Check his sats. And page trauma for consult. My voice cracked on the edges. The nurse facade cracking under lover's terror. He gripped my wrist. For tugging. Blue eyes foggy but fierce. Zach. Don't. It's shallow, stitches, and spite. A weak grin. But pain-etched lines. And I flashed to Dad's bed. Monitors beeping dirge. His hand limp in mine. No. Not again. Shut up, I muttered, thumbing his knuckles. The ring glinting under fluorescence. You don't get to play tough guy here. Security hauled in the perp later, Elias's low-rent muscle. A Bushwick brawler with a record longer than my shift. Debts get collected. He spat in cuffs. But Caleb just turned away, whispering to me, call my phone voicemail. Proof. I did. Later in the break room, coffee bitter as bile. Messages from Elias. Oily and escalating. Pay by Friday. Or pretty boy's next tats permanent. Threats veiled in art speak. but clear as the knife's edge. Proof enough for cops, who nodded at my statement. Harassment, assault, filing charges that'd stick like ink. Caleb stabilized by morning, transferred to a ward where I couldn't hover. Ethics a bitch. I sat vigil anyway, smuggling Jell-O cups, his laugh faint but real as he mocked the hospital gown. Sexy. Huh? Your uniform fantasy come true. We talked depths then. Philly's underbelly. His escape at 18 with a backpack and bus ticket. Elias as the first love that poisoned instead of healed. He funded my dreams, Caleb admitted, but owned the nightmares. Thought I broke free. Till you. Me? I scoffed. But warmth bloomed. Fragile. I'm the guy who almost knifed you first night. Best almost ever. His hand found mine, ring to ring, and in that grip, resolve hardened. We'd end this, not flee. Discharge came midweek. Me playing chauffeur in my beat-up Civic. Brooklyn unfolding like a battered map. Home smelled of neglect. Mail piled. Plants wilting, but Caleb dove in. Reclaiming space with fierce domesticity. Scrubbing counters. Blasting Springsteen till neighbors banged. Philly roots, he grinned. And I joined. Bodies colliding mid-waltz. Flour-dusted kisses baking into bread that rose sweeter for the scars. Cops moved fast. Elias hauled in on my testimony. Charges stacking. Extortion. Conspiracy. His lawyer spun artistic dispute. But the voicemails damned him. And by June's solstice, plea deal landed. Probation. Restitution waived if Caleb dropped the suit. Let it die, he urged me over burner coffee and holding. I'm poison. Stay away from your boy. Caleb watched the feed. Stone-faced. Fuck your mercy, he said after. Voice steel. We walk clean. We did. Hand in hand out the precinct. Summer sun gilding the streets. A weight lifting like fog off the river. Healing wasn't linear. Nightmares jolted him awake. Fists swinging at shadows. I'd soothe with stories of our absurdities. Like the guy who proposed mid-colonoscopy. Therapy beckoned. Joint sessions at a queer center in Park Slope, DR. Lena, sharp as her bob, unpacking our crates. My savior leanings rooted in Dad's loss. His flight impulse from Dad's fists. Love's a verb, she'd say. Homework in vulnerability logs we read aloud. Blushing over wine. Summer peaked in fire escapes and rooftop barbecues. Neighbors toasting our comeback kids. Caleb's ink flourished. Commissions from the gallery crowd minus Elias's taint. A mural for a pride float that splashed us in rainbows. Sex reignited. Playful then profound. Lazy Sundays in sheets. Exploring edges with toys from that discreet shop in Chelsea. His moans a symphony I'd conduct forever. But conflict's embers smoldered. July heat wave brought Mom's visit. Flying in for a weekend. Eyes widening at our cozy chaos. She adored him. Trading recipes over mimosas. But cornered me post-brunch. He's got demons. Zach. You sure you can carry both? Her love was fierce. Protective. But it unearthed my fear. Was I anchoring? Or enabling? The clash crested at LaGuardia drop-off. Her hug lingering. Choose joy. Not duty. Back home. Caleb sensed the rift. Probing gentle over takeout. She cool. Yeah, just mom stuff. But lies festered. And by August's dog days, it spilled. She worries I'm your burden. And maybe she's right. After Elias, the hospital, I'm a lot. Burden. I exploded, pacing the sweltering living room, fan whirring futile. You're my choice, Caleb. Every scar, every secret. But if you keep half hiding, we're sunk. Accusations ricocheted, his therapy skips, my workaholic dodges. You stitch everyone but us, he yelled, Phoenix flashing in sweat-slick light. He packed then, not fleeing, but forcing clarity. Duffel by the door, eyes pleading. Space to prove I'm all in, no Elias ghosts, no debts. 2 weeks, my sister's in Queens. Come find me if it's real. The door closed soft, a question mark, and I crumpled, the apartment echoing vast. 2 weeks stretched eternal, shifts blurring into numbness, friends' pity parties at the Abbey, beers and bad advice. Cut bait, he's drama, but love's tide pulled, memories crashing. That first tear in the kitchen, his laugh in the park, the ring's weight. Mom texted wisdom, hearts don't heal in vacuums. Reach. I did. Queensbound on the F train, pulse thundering like that inaugural storm. His sister's brownstone loomed, stoop flowers defiant, and there he waited, tattoo gun idle, sketchpad full of us, portraits intertwined, phoenixes entwined. Missed you, he breathed, pulling me up steps, door slamming on doubt. Reunion was fire, bodies urgent on her guest bed, whispers vowing transparency. No more halves, we swore, rings refitted, souls resynchronized. Fall whispered in, golden and forgiving, our rhythm restored, couples hikes in the Catskills, leaves crunching under boots, hands linked against chill. Yet climax loomed, unbidden. October's chill brought a letter, Elias, from upstate lockup, probation breach on a bar scrap. Tell your boy, debt's eternal. Watch his back, paranoia spiked, shadows lengthening, but we fortified self-defense classes in the Y. Community watches with neighbors. Caleb inked a matching watch on my wrist. Our time. Needles buzz a hymn. The peak shattered on All Hallows' Eve. Party at the parlor. Costumes and candy masking tension. Caleb, phoenix-clad, mixed drinks, I, in scrubs, played medic to fake wounds. Then the crash, door bursting, Elias's ghost in flesh, drunk and raging. You think bars keep you safe? Fists flew, chaos erupting, glass shattering, screams piercing, and Caleb lunged, shielding me as blows landed. I tackled the fray, our instincts firing, chokehold broken, 911 dialed, Elias subdued in zip ties till cops swarmed. In the melee's wake, Caleb slumped, lips split, but eyes alight, told you together. Elias hauled away final, charges ironclad, assault, violation, his empire of spite crumbled. Dawn broke clean, parlor sweeping brooms and blood, our hands clasped amid debris. End of an era, Caleb quipped, and I kissed him fierce, tasting copper and triumph. Winter's cusp brought quiet victories, therapy marathons, Mom's blessing over turkey, he's family. Elise renewed in our names. Love deepened, roots burrowing past fractures, late nights charting dreams, his sketches my walls, my steadiness his canvas. Betrayal's sting faded to lessen, vulnerability the true ink, indelible and beautiful. December draped Brooklyn in tinsel and twinkle, holiday markets hawking chestnuts and cheer. But our Yuletide was quieter, earned, a hearth fire in our souls against the cold. Caleb's parlor boomed with festive tats, Snowflakes on shoulders, wreaths on wrists, his needle weaving joy where pain once etched. I'd watch sometimes, perched on a stool amid ink scent and holiday rock, marveling at his focus, the way brows furrowed, lips pursed, blue eyes intent as a lover's gaze. Home was sanctuary. String lights looped the kitchen, that first battleground now strung with photos. Us in Coney snow, Palisades grins, rings glinting in every frame. Christmas Eve, we cooked Dad's chili. Mom's recipe cards yellowed beside, Caleb stirring while I chopped, our hips bumping in easy choreography. To thieves and healers, he toasted, spoon raised, and I clinked mine, pulling him close for a kiss that lingered, spice on tongues. Midnight mass called St. and candles flickering on faces etched with hope. We sat back pew, hands laced, his thumb tracing my watch tat, the phoenix on his ribs rising with breaths. Hymn swelled, silent night a bomb, and in that hush, I whispered, "Marry me? For real, not pawnshop promise." His nod was tear-bright. Yes, a vow echoing angels. New Year's dawned crisp. Ball drop on TV casting blue glow as we made love on the rug. Slow, sacred, bodies hymn to the year ahead. Resolutions scribbled on napkins, his ink our future, mine, heal us first. Therapy continued. Dr. Lena beaming at our progress. You've alchemized poison to gold. Spring unfurled gentle. April showers greening the fire escape pots Caleb tended. Basil, tomatoes, herbs for our farm-to-table experiments. Pride swelled the city. Rainbows rioting streets, we marched, his phoenix banner aloft. My scrubs swapped for a Nurses for Love tea. The float he'd inked bore our story, thief and healer, entwined, and cheers reigned, a baptism of belonging. Yet humanity's thread wove deeper. Beyond us, Caleb volunteered at the center, inking free for trans youth. Scars turned stories. I pushed ER protocols for queer-inclusive care. Dad's watch timing my advocacy. Mom visited again. Wedding plans sketched over brunches. Small, Brooklyn courthouse, with Ohio kin and tattoo kin mingling. Summer hummed. Hudson kayaks and beach days in Rockaway. Sand in crevices. Laughter salting skin. Elias faded to footnote. A letter from lockup. Apology scrawled in regret. I was the thief. Stole your light. Be happy. Caleb burned it on the roof. Ashes to stars. Forgiven, but forgotten. Fall's harvest brought the ceremony. October oak outside City Hall. Leaves gold confetti. Vows exchanged under arch, his, you caught me stealing bread. Gave me your heart. I'll guard it eternal. Mine. From knife to forever. You're my pulse. Rings slid true. Simple bands etched with phoenix and watch. Sealing us. Reception spilled to our stoop. Neighbors toasting with PBR and pie. Mom tearing up beside his sister, who clutched the locket he'd repurchased. Clean slate reclaimed. Dances barefoot on concrete. His head on my shoulder to Springsteen. The city our chorus. Years folded like well-worn pages. Promotions, me to charge nurse. Him gallery shows of resilient lines. A dog joined. Scruffy mutt named Rusty. Chasing squirrels in the park. Mom's visits warmed to grandkid talk. Not blood, but chosen mentoring at the center. Our home a haven for runaways echoing our start. One anniversary. Back in that kitchen, renovated now. Granite gleaming. We recreated the break in him stealing bread. Me catching with a kiss. shocked me completely. I murmured, pulling him close, and he laughed. Best heist ever. Life's not fairy tale, no. Raw. American grit. Layoffs weathered. Health scares stitched, his flu. My burnout. But love's the constant. Phoenix rising through storms. We age into it. Lines etching laughs. Hands veined but laced. Timing comebacks. Always. In the end, it's human. Flawed. Fierce. Found in a thief's tear and a healer's hold. And in our Brooklyn kitchen, under rain or stars, that's enough, more than enough. It's everything.